this meeting is called to order in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act. Notice of this meeting was provided to the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, and the Highland Park Planet on January 4th, 2023, and was posted on Borough Hall website at www.hbborough.com and on the bulletin board of Borough Hall, 221 South Fifth Avenue in Highland Park, New Jersey, and has remained continuously posted as required by law. In addition, notice of this meeting via Zoom was emailed to the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, the Highland Park Planet on January 12, 2023, and was posted at Borough Hall website at www.hbborough.com and on the bulletin board of Borough Hall, 221 South Fifth Avenue, Highland Park, on May 12, 2023, and has remained continuously posted as required by law. Fire exits are to my right and left of council chambers. Michael, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Foster.
Here.
Councilwoman Canavera. Councilman George.
Here.
Councilman Hill.
Here.
Council President Hirsch.
Here.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan. Councilman Pistonik.
Here.
Borough Attorney Schmier.
Here.
Borough Administrator Hoover.
Here. Council members, do you have any questions on the agenda?
No, Mayor.
No, Mayor.
Council reports. Council Member George.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a very, very brief report. But first of all, I'd like to wish, although it's very, very difficult to wish peace and happiness in this current time, wish everyone in town a blessed and safe Hanukkah starting on Thursday. The chief asked me to warn everybody about porch pirates now that we are into our ordering at home frenzy. Also remind you, if you have a Simply Safe or a Ring or other recording doorbell and you see something happening at your house, please immediately send that to the address on the police website and the borough website so that we can look into that right away. Other than that, Mayor, I note that the library is planning now that we have a grant. I spoke to the executive director today. He will be with us next weekend, but we've started the planning for the grant portion, which is the upgraded media room, which should be really outstanding. And that's my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Poston.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. So in my portfolio is arts and recreation, so I'll cover the topics there. I'm also currently covering for my colleague Stephanie, who is out on maternity leave, but I have no, her portfolio is finance, but there's no updates there. So without further ado, let me kick it off like I do every night. Just a brief reminder that the borough offers grocery store transportation, online food shopping assistance available through the Department of Community Services. And that's more critical right now while we're without a supermarket, thanks to the hard work of Elsie and the team here at the borough. We're counting down the number of days where we're without a supermarket. So for more information on the services available at the community center, please call them at 732-819-0052. I'd just like to announce a couple of community center programming highlights, many of which I mentioned at the last council meeting. First up, there's a holiday luncheon Tuesday, December 12th from 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. with featuring food from Buthari and entertainment by Gordon James. We have a holiday party co-sponsored by the Lions Club on Saturday, December 16th, starting at 11:30 a.m. at the community center. We have a Winter Wonderland dance performance at the community center Tuesday, December 19th at 11:30 a.m. and a winter concert Friday, December 29th, starting at 11 a.m. again at the community center. So bustling programming over there for the holiday season, so we're looking forward to that. Quick rec updates. We have a number of winter programs available for registration, including youth basketball, indoor soccer rovers, youth winter track, rec dance classes, brand new table tennis, adult fitness, including Tai Chi and fitness for all programs, adult men's and women's basketball, adult indoor soccer, and adult volleyball. And last but not least, we'll update in the arts world. The Art Commission is sponsoring a book art workshop where you can create art out of books. That's on Monday, December 11th, from 6:30 to 9 p.m. at the community center. All materials will be provided. And sign up by emailing Amy Pollock at APOLLACK139@gmail.com. Again, APOLLACK139@gmail.com. And just to echo my colleague Councilman George, wishing everyone a happy Hanukkah. And I know my colleague Matt Hale will be announcing the menorah lighting this Thursday, and I will see you there. That's my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Hale?
Sorry, thank you, Mayor. So first of all, of course, I want to say thank you so much to the mayor and to Terry and to the council and to everybody who had a hand in helping to get us a new supermarket. I'm really, really looking forward to the day where Jason doesn't have to make that announcement anymore, as all of us are. As I'm sure the mayor will talk about, Super Fresh is coming to HP. I've gone to a couple of their stores to take a look, and I really do think it's going to be a great fit for Highland Park. It seems just like us, so I think that's exciting. You know, there's a fair bit of work that they have to do to work on the building. They have a kind of an aggressive timeline, but we're hoping that in 2024, we're certainly going to make that happen. So again, just a huge thank you to the mayor and Terry and everybody for focusing on this. I think it's really important that we made it happen. So that's great. So tonight we have the second reading of 2 ordinances that are adjustments to our code. And before we get to the public hearing on them, I thought it might be helpful to sort of have a brief explanation of both what our goals for them. Obviously, we have a public hearing on them, and so we can just certainly talk more about it, but I thought maybe a brief explanation might be helpful, particularly to people who are at home. So Ordinance 23-2079 is really designed to help folks who own odd shape and non-conforming lots. We have a lot of those in Highland Park, and the goal is to make it a little bit easier for new construction on those properties. Under the current code, if you have an empty non-conforming lot and you want to build something on it, and even if what you want to do is 100% compliant with every other rule and regulation, you still have to come to the zoning board for a variance, simply because you're on a non-conforming lot. If you own a conforming lot and you want to build essentially the exact same thing, again, 100% compliant with all the other rules and regulations, you don't have to go to the zoning board to get a variance. So the same project on a conforming and non-conforming lot actually is treated differently under our current code. So this, a long time ago, we sort of updated this to construction on conforming and non-conforming lots. This expands it to new construction on conforming and non-conforming lots. The goal is to sort of make both of those follow the same rules, conforming and non-conforming lots. The idea being that it makes it a little bit easier for non-conforming lots to have something new be built on, which I think is important. Obviously, if what is proposed doesn't meet other things, whether it's conforming or not conforming, it does have to go for a variance. So all this does is change the rules for a non-conforming lot in new construction. So I think that's our goal. It's a sort of small tweak, but one that could help some folks. The second ordinance is Ordinance 23-2080. So this is designed to encourage and enable the building of some additional housing along Raritan Avenue in the Central Business District. Right now, there is a host of sort of odd language and floor space percentages about the buildings in the Central Business District, which is essentially right along Raritan Avenue, about the amount of housing that we can have. It's a 33% of square footage above the first floor is sort of the rule, which is odd. So it's very difficult to add additional housing or have housing in the Central Business District under our current plan. What we're hoping is that essentially what this ordinance does is take out those percentages. So you still are required to have retail or commercial space on the bottom floor, but on the upper floors, you can have housing. And this sort of is in line with some of the things that we've been advocating for in redevelopment, the idea that there will be more housing on Raritan Avenue. This is an attempt to do that with existing buildings on Raritan Avenue. It doesn't change height requirements. It doesn't change, parking requirements. All of those are still in force. All of those are still that a building would have to meet all of those. So that doesn't change. All it does is it makes housing a little bit easier for a developer or someone who owns a property to have, say, a restaurant or a business on the first floor, and then have housing above it. And we've actually had some people who are interested in doing things like that. So they are important ordinances. But they are small tweaks, and I think they are sort of helpful in our goal of trying to increase the number of people living downtown. For that one, and just make it a little bit easier for people to update and or rebuild on their property. So I think those are important. Okay. Then also just real quick on the consent agenda, there are 2 resolutions that are extending the conditional developer agreements with Garden Homes and the Tampa Fidelco folks. Just to refresh everybody's memory, conditional developer agreements are where we enter into an exclusive negotiation process with specific developers. They put up money that into an account that helps defray our professional services costs for planners and engineers. Extending these is very typical. We've extended both previously, and it's a good sign to show that we're making good, steady progress with the various developers, Track A and Track C. We had at one point, I think, had hoped that maybe we would have a public meeting before the end of the year. It doesn't look like we're quite going to be ready for that, but we would again remain confident that early in 2024 we'll have things to share on the initial design plans for Track C. So just to point out that we're extending the conditional developers for both of those because we're making good and solid progress along those lines. Then couple things that are going on. As always, our farmers market is the last farmers market of the year is December 15th. There's one on December 8th, and then December 15th. So there's today's the 5th, right? So it's 2 left. So and then we'll shut down for a little bit and hopefully start up again. But farmers market on December 8th and December 15th. Also, just to let folks know that R&J Farm Fresh is selling Christmas trees at 212 Raritan Avenue downtown. They're going to be there on December 2nd, the 3rd, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, and the 15th, selling Christmas trees. So if you are in need of a Christmas tree, shop local for your Christmas trees. Night owl markets, again, another thing going on. Those are December 9th and December 10th. And I saved the best for last because I know it's important for everybody, but especially for Jason. So is Thursday, December 7th from 5:30 to 6:30 is the downtown Hanukkah menorah lighting. So it is a chance to come out and light up the menorah, spin some dreidels, get some gelt, but most importantly to my mind, eat some sufganiyot, because those are really, really healthy and really, really important that you have as many donuts as possible at this event. So please come and eat all of the donuts that you possibly can at the downtown menorah lighting. It is a interesting and difficult time right now for Hanukkah, and one that's going to be quite meaningful for folks. So I do please encourage everyone to come down December 7th from 5:30 to 6:30 at the Walkowitz Pavilion. And I think that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. My name is Matthew Hirsch. I chair the Public Works Committee. And this is my report, just a few items. Coming up next Wednesday, December 13th, downstairs at the Community Center at 6:30 p.m. We'll be having our Highland Park River Greenway community meeting. What is the Highland Park River Greenway? Well, a few years ago, we received a grant from the state for $250,000 to conduct a feasibility study to explore the possibility of doing a connector trail between Donaldson Park and Johnson Parks, which would be incredibly exciting and a huge undertaking as an infrastructure project, you might imagine. So we are working with ETM Associates, the project landscape architect, and at the meeting, they'll give a presentation, and that will be followed by breakout discussions run by members of the River Greenway Committee. And hopefully we'll be able to answer all questions that come up, as well as any questions that we can't answer, take back to. So this is a really important project and incredibly exciting, and one I know that Councilman Hale is very excited about, and it just opens up a whole world of possibilities for our community done successfully. So and we can really truly, create that identity of being a river town. And done right, it can be environmentally sensitive as well. It will have to be. Speaking of environmental sensitivity, I did just want to give a shout out to Sustainable Highland Park on Facebook. We have a new volunteer on the committee who's contributing the communications of their page. So please follow them on Facebook at Sustainable HP. There you'll see they're answering some questions about recycling, what materials are recycled, and all things that you can find on the Borough website too. But sometimes it's really important to have an agency or committee that is there to answer questions and kind of help people navigate during these difficult environmental times. It's just a small sample of the valuable everyday information that's out there that's available to reduce our carbon footprint and make the future brighter for our children. Why is this important? And not to get too preachy, but I read the Washington Post today, as I do, and I was reading about the climate summit going on right now, and more than 2,400 people with ties to the fossil fuel industry are registered to attend COP28. According to a review of UN data by an advocacy coalition. The fossil fuel representation is rising even faster than overall attendance, which has also surged this year as global temperatures hit records. More companies, financiers, world leaders, and activists see rising stakes at the event. So we act locally, and we can act regionally. We can act as a state, as the governor has acted on the administration's energy master plan, as well as, and I hope they stay resolute on developing wind energy. And there we see industry pulling out of a really important effort that would help all New Jerseyans, and frankly, would help the East Coast and the world. So we just have to stay at it. So following Sustainable Highland Park at Facebook is the easiest thing that you can do to make sure that you are an environmental steward. Road improvements. So we are on the agenda tonight. There is we're doing a first reading of an ordinance for road improvements to North 4th, Dennison Street, Harper Street, appropriating $609,980. And these funds come from that DOT state aid that we always talk about, specifically the gas tax that you pay when you hit the pump, which we'll have to refigure out once everybody goes electric, and hopefully sooner rather than later. But this is an incredible investment from the state. Thank you to Terry Robert for navigating that typical process. And that $609,000 is just a slice of the road projects that we have in store for 2024. So what you're seeing on the agenda tonight, we anticipate that those projects will be underway in the second half of 2024. The Environmental Commission will meet tomorrow night, December 6th at 8 p.m. on Zoom. Go to www.hpborough.com for more information and for a link. That's my report.
Thanks, Council President, for reminding everyone that we all can act locally and it has a global impact. With that said, Mr. Mayor?
No report, Madam Mayor.
Borough Administrator, Joanne?
No report, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I have a very small report. And yeah, we have a super fresh supermarket coming in. I told you I was going to shout it from the rafters. I am very excited that we're getting our supermarket. And they have been working. And they were there today again, continuing to do their job and doing the gutting and fixing and replacing stuff on the inside. And we're hoping opening date within 5 to 6 months. So that I'm really excited about, but I will keep you posted. I will give you progress report. Now that they're here, I'll continue to give you progress reports. And Jason will continue to share all the resources that we have here until our supermarket get back into place. So I'm super excited, super fresh is here. Yes, super. You know, Council Member Hill touched on this a little bit in his report about, I had promised this year that we were going to do a charrette with the downtown with the work that's good, a development that's coming in our downtown. He touched on it. Unfortunately, I was not able to live up to having that done this year as promised. However, early next year, we will be having our downtown and display where we will have it over the high school cafeteria more than likely, and everyone will have an opportunity to make comments to see what it is that we're proposing. We want our town to be involved. We want our town to be engaged. So you will have an opportunity in the coming year to see what it is that the developers are working on, what we have been reviewing, and everyone will give ample notice so everyone will be able to attend, to make comments, add stickies onto stuff and everything else. So we want our town to be engaged. We want our town to be a part of the development and to our way forward. So we will definitely keep you posted. I just want to take a moment to say thank you to the amazing staff at the community center. If you look around the borough, you see how beautiful it's decorated for the holidays. And I just want to say thank you to Kim and the team over there for going that extra mile and making the atmosphere lovelier around here. And as we go through our holiday season, I want to wish everyone peace, which is really important right now. And keep in mind those who are less fortunate than us at this particular time of year. Thank you. Oh, now it's now time for the first of two public discussion. Total time allotted is 21 minutes, 3 minutes maximum per speaker. Comments are limited to item on the agenda. If you want to speak on an item that is not listed, please do so at the second public comment later on in the meeting. The borough clerk will monitor the time and indicate when 3 minutes have lapsed. She will give you a warning when there is 30 seconds remaining. I may warn or terminate a participant's statement, or if it does not adhere to the 3 minutes provided, or if the statement is abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. Comments from members of the public attending in person will be heard first, followed by those attending via Zoom. If you are interested in speaking, please step up to the microphone, or those who are on Zoom, press the Zoom button, press *9 on your phone, or the raise hand button on your keypad application. Now, first up, in-house comments, please step up to the microphone and give us your name and address.
Hi, my name is Francesca Maresca, 216 South 3rd Avenue. And I'm assuming this question is related to the agenda since I do see the resolution authorizing the extension of our Garden Homes entity as the conditional developer. So way back in August, I asked a question about the pilot funds that we were anticipating from the pilot agreement for the from the Frederick. And I'm curious to know when the borough will make their promised annual contributions to the Highland Park Public Schools from the annual service charge they're collecting from the Frederick, and how will that amount be determined? Second question, when will the borough pass a resolution that ensures it will make contributions annually from the Frederick pilot and any possible potential future pilot agreements that we may enter into as we pursue the redevelopment of our downtown?
We'll be happy to answer their questions, but we're going to answer it in stages. And I'm going to ask Terry, because her and I had a conversation about this today. And Terry, could you provide the breakdown
Yes, I just had met and I was updating the mayor on the status of essentially the format that our attorney has advised us we need to use in order to give the funds to the schools on an annual basis. So we have a draft agreement, and provided it meets, is acceptable to the governing body as drafted, and I don't have a reason to think it won't be, we're taking action on it at our next council meeting. One of the issues, and is kind of in the weeds, but the timing is, we basically collect it, quarterly. And so we haven't even gotten our last payment from them for 2023. So the way we're thinking about it now, although this is subject to final version, will be, we will approve it this year. It gets budgeted in the temporary budget next year, calendar year, and paid out in the first quarter. 2023's payment will come out of will be paid in the first quarter of 2024. All of that is subject to final approval from the governing body, which we intend to do, as far as I know, at the next council meeting.
So we're going to be retroactive for 2023. Will there be any retroactive payments for 2022?
There was, let me finish just before you go to your
Yeah,
next
that's why I
question.
said it's gonna go in
2022, we
stages.
didn't have a full year, so we have to talk internally.
Right.
That's a question we have not resolved. So we can take that, I don't want to answer it now because we haven't discussed it.
And then part two was a resolution that ensures that we will have our annual contribution, or is that all based on this formula that we are discussing right now?
That will be based on further discussions. We have, the council we haven't had an opportunity to share all of this information with the council. Once we do so at the December 19th meeting, then we'll make a decision. Then we will share with the public how we perceive that the payments would be made, or future payments will be made.
Do we have an idea of the percentage? Is it going to be basically reflective of what the percentage would be from, so for instance, we know approximately 60% of our township taxes that we pay do go to our public schools. Are we using 60% as a potential model for the payment?
For this model, it will be the 60% because that's what we had made a commitment to.
Okay.
But we will look at other models going forward.
Hopefully not less than
Terry?
60%.
I just want to clarify, because I think you grouped two things in one of your questions. One was regarding the Frederick, and what I just discussed was related to the Frederick. Our attorneys advise us we should take each pilot separate. They're all going to be unique and have different considerations. And so we will have to discuss what the commitment to the schools will or won't be as we go with each one. And we are nowhere near that discussion for the projects that we're looking at now.
I think I've passed my 3 minutes, so I'll go sit down.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience?
My name is Jacob Moffett. I live at 42 Lincoln Ave, and I've just started a MCRP over at Boston's. I've been a little more interested in local borough politics recently. I was curious about the conditional developer agreement with Garden Homes. That's the one, that's track C, and that's the one that's taking place at where the Highland Park Farmers Market is.
Yes.
Correct. So I remember a number of council meetings ago, you guys have mentioned that the negotiation strategy of the borough was remaining confidential. Was that correct? Is that still how you are proceeding, is to keep the sort of negotiation strategy under wraps?
Negotiations?
Right, negotiations with the developer around things such as affordability or sustainability requirements.
There will be, I'll let Terry answer because she's jumping to
I'm
answer that
sorry,
question.
I want to clarify the way you phrased the question. The negotiations are confidential so that we don't share our discussions with the developer. So when we meet in executive session to talk about track C related matters, or track A or any other, they're not there either. And part of it is so that we can speak
Freely
openly
amongst ourselves.
and not reveal our cards prematurely, and also to the outside developer. So that's just to clarify. It's not to be secretive from the general public. It's also to have our ability to have discussions about what the proposals and things we're negotiating with the developer, confidential from them.
Okay. seem to have any- Sorry. Okay, so yeah, I remember at I think that same council meeting, we had mentioned that there were possibly other developers in town that were essentially interested in the property, and that's part of the reason why you don't want to reveal this strategy. I did want to question why, you know, or at least bring up the idea that if there is open requirements that the borough is bringing forth about what the developer would need to have if they are to purchase the property, that if there are other developers in town as well, presumably they would be required to compete and offer the best possible offer for the space, rather than negotiating with a single developer who already, from my understanding, owns a large amount of the properties around the traffic location.
If I'm following, I think.
Sure. Sorry, I know those.
I think I understand your point. Just to be clear, and this may predate your interest, we did a request for proposals, a competitive one, to solicit the proposals. We entered into this conditional agreement, which is being continued tonight, so that A, they post escrow to pay for all of our due diligence work, and that it gives them some security that if they're putting up that money and working with us toward this vision, which is outlined in the redevelopment plan. So a lot of what we've asked them to do is already in that plan. So the public can look at that to have a good idea of at least the starting point in the negotiations. And then certainly we can, when we get into the further, once we're out of this conditional, and if there's going to be financial agreements potentially, there'll certainly be a redeveloper agreement, all of which will be subject to public review and discussion. And certainly I know we've discussed in our community meeting, when that happens, we would certainly be open to hearing some of those types of input well before we've entered into those contracts.
And just to add on to that, as the mayor said just a minute ago, we made a commitment that once we are into a particular level, that we will have these open meetings where people will be able to see various aspects of the plan. We'll be able to talk about various aspects. We'll say, we like this, we don't like this, all that kind of stuff. And so we made that commitment. We were originally hoping that we were going to be able to do that this month. But as the mayor said, we believe that we're going to be able to get there in a very short period of time at the beginning of 2024.
Okay, thank you. My very last thing was about the Department of Transportation application that I think the borough had put forth to talk about, I think, South Third, closing that off permanently. Has there been any update on the progress of that, if that is looking likely?
There has been progress. They requested a number of reports. They said, and that has been completed and was submitted. We have a few things that our engineer is working on that they requested, and I have been and Terry have been in contact with them on a constant. I think mine is twice a week, and I'm quite sure Terry is maybe once or twice a week too with them. So we're really pushing hard and trying to get this done.
Thanks so much.
Anyone on Zoom?
Yes, I see a hand raised, and there are 13 attendees. Gerald Pomper, your hand is up. You could just let us know, confirm it's you, your name and address. Mr. Pomper, you may have to unmute yourself on the Zoom app. There you go.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm at 348 South Third Avenue. I'm delighted to hear about the moving ahead of the redevelopment and the supermarket. And I look forward to a formal announcement. My question is about a different aspect of redevelopment. Back in May, I think it was, the mayor, then a candidate for office, said that we had an agreement to reopen Highland Pizza, and nothing is happening on that side. What's going on with them?
I did have a conversation with Doug, the owner, and they are working on the inside portion of stuff. They told me that they are working on it. They're continuing to do the inside work. They ripped out most of the inside, and what they have to do, their ducting, their heating system, their ovens, items such as those. So they did say that they are continuing to do the inside work and they want to open up. Again, it's been postponed, but to next year. I'm looking forward to seeing Highland Park Pizza open again, as many of you are.
Let me just say, Mayor, I drive by, many people do, that site, and there doesn't seem to be any activity at all. There are no trucks, there are no dumpsters, there are no lights on in the building. So I don't know what's going on, how they're reconstructing it without any signs of activity.
I can only go by what the owner of the property tells me. So I'm keeping in good faith that what he's sharing with me is what's gonna be done. I know they have their permits and everything else to get the work done. He said that he had people in there doing various types of work with ovens, with electrical, with gas. So I have to believe, I'm taking him at his word that what he shared with me is gonna happen for next year.
Well, I hope that's true, but perhaps a visit to the site would be persuasive that there should be some more activity.
I will take that under advisement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Looks like phone number ending 4445 is up. Please just state your name and address to confirm.
Hi, Lois here, North Second Avenue. On the agenda, you have consent agenda 14C, which is 12-23-260. The shared services, okay, I see it's freehold with IT services. Is there any chance there'll be shared services for a clerk typist to keep up with the planning board minutes? I haven't checked recently, but they were nearly 1 year behind. Also on the consent agenda, 14K, and actually L, but 12-23268, extending the designation of tract A and then tract C. Could you define extending? Are you extending the land area or are you extending time-wise? What is being extended? Designation sounds like land.
You know that well, the first question you have is for planning board, and they're behind on their.
We filled the vacant position and we're catching up. So you should see those minutes soon.
And then the next question, 14K and 14L, those two, we're doing an extension of both of those. Terry explained earlier why the extension needs to be done. Terry, you want to just refresh?
It's just, we're extending the agreement,
with the redevelopment.
the status of conditional redeveloper, an additional, I believe, 6 months, or about to June 30th, I should say, to the middle of next year. So it's extension of the time frame, not related to the tract size.
Okay, that makes it clearer. Thank you. Okay, I think that's all for now.
I don't see any other hands raised, Mayor.
Okay. Now we're going to move into ordinance required second reading. Please report on ordinance number 23-2079.
An ordinance by the Borough of Highland Park, Middlesex County, New Jersey, amending chapter 230, land development concerning new construction of non-conforming single and two-family residential lots, has been duly advertised for consideration of passage on final reading by title, and affidavits of publication are on file.
Public, now it's time for a public hearing. If you would like to speak on this ordinance, please come up to the microphone and do so, or raise your hand on your Zoom link.
Mayor, I don't have any hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, may I have a motion to adopt or reject 23-2079?
Motion to adopt. Second.
Roll call.
Councilman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hale,
Yes.
Council President Hirsch,
Yes.
Councilman Pistonik.
Yes.
Clerk, please report on ordinance number 23-280.
An ordinance by the Borough of Highland Park, Middlesex County, New Jersey, amending chapter 230, land development concerning residential density and Central Business District has been duly advertised for consideration of passage on final reading by title, and affidavits of publication are on file.
Now it's time for public hearing. If you would like to make a comment on this, please come up to the microphone. Or anyone on Zoom, please raise your hands. Okay,
I don't have any hands up.
okay, may I have a motion to adopt or reject?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hale,
Yes.
Council President Hirsch.
Yes.
Councilman Pistonik,
Yes.
Ordinance required first reading. Clerk, please report on introduction of ordinance number 23-2081.
capital ordinance providing for improvements to North Fourth Avenue, Dennison Street, and Harper Street project in the county of Middlesex, state of New Jersey, appropriating $609,980 from the Department of Transportation Municipal Aid Program to pay the cost thereof, has been duly introduced by the Finance Committee for consideration of passage on first reading by title.
May I have a motion to adopt or reject ordinance?
Second.
Authorized publication as required by law and set public hearing for December 19th.
Sorry. We have a first and a second.
Yeah, so
Roll call.
Councilman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hale,
Yeah.
Council President Hirsch.
Yes, and find out why Highland Park will have the best roads in New Jersey.
Councilman Pistonik,
Yes.
Now we move on to the consent agenda. May I have a motion to adopt or reject the following?
Motion.
Sorry. Oh, we want to table 14K and 14L?
No,
We want to take them out and vote on them separately?
I don't know about that. I have
Okay.
something minor to mention. I'm
Okay.
sorry, Mayor.
Yeah, I was on a
didn't have
roll. Go
chance.
ahead.
I apologize. No, there was just a typo on the salary resolution. I wanted to point that out. It should have been for the library position, 37,973. There's a transposition, and I just wanted the record to reflect it so the clerk could make the change.
Okay. Great.
Sorry for ruining the flow.
Now I gotta start my whole
No,
flow all over again. I'm sorry.
I
Okay,
didn't
no,
know
no,
there
no.
were other.
No, it's a
things
good catch. It's a good catch.
that- I didn't know there were other things that were.
Consent agenda resolution. May I have a motion to adopt or reject the following consent agenda, 14A through 14N?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hale,
Yes.
Council President Hirsch.
Yes.
Councilman Pistonik.
Yes.
Now it's time for the second public discussion. Total time allotted is 21 minutes, 3 minutes maximum per speaker. The borough clerk will monitor the time and indicate when 3 minutes have lapsed. She will also give you a warning of 30 seconds remaining. I may interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's statement if it does not adhere to the 3 minutes provided, or if the statement is abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. Comment from members of the public attending in person will be heard first, followed by those members on Zoom. To speak, those who are on Zoom, please *9 or raise hand button. And then we'll reach out to you. *6 to unmute yourself. People attending in person can speak first. Go ahead. Please state your name and address.
Josh, is this on?
Yes, it is.
Now it's on. Josh Brzezinski from North End Avenue here in Highland Park. First I want to thank the borough, the mayor and the council. I got my annual escrow report from the bank, and actually my escrow has gone down due to the re-evaluation of our house. So it's actually gone in the other direction for the first time ever. So I want to thank you for the revaluation, and let's keep it down. Let's keep it
We're
down.
working hard at it.
Thank you. Now, something that came to my attention this evening, that Thursday evening, between 5:30 and 6:30, as Councilman Hill mentioned in his report, will be the annual Hanukkah lighting at the Wellwoods Pavilion. But then I saw an email that if not now, an organization that the ADL characterized as anti-Israel Jewish group, they released a statement blaming Israel and the United States for provoking Palestinians into the attacks on October 7th, saying in their blood the civilians on the hands of the Israeli government, U.S. government, responds and excuses their recklessness, will be having their own party at the same exact spot 30 minutes later at 7 o'clock. This is worrisome to me. after seeing what's going on all over the United States with these rallies held by organizations like If Not Now When, that especially what happened in Philadelphia this week when they attacked, I don't know if it was that organization or a different organization, when they attacked a Jewish-owned falafel store and almost had a riot there and almost broke his windows down because it's owned by a Jew, and they blamed him for genocide and what have you. And to have our children, our women, our children, and our families there in the same spot, with a 30-minute differential between when they can come early, I think is a danger to our community. I think this is something that's absolutely wrong. I don't know who scheduled this, and especially in a pavilion named for Susan Welkowitz, where that very chair in 2019 was calling these people anti-Semites for the way they were talking. I think this is a serious issue regarding Thursday night. And I have no assurance that there's going to be any safety there more than the usual coverage. And I'm going to bring it up to the rabbis of the town tonight to discuss whether we should even attend the Hanukkah candle lighting on Thursday night if this is going to be following that event. I think this is putting a lot of people in danger. You know, I think, thank God, the events held by the pro-Israel community, especially in this town in Highland Park, have all been peaceful. But I have no assurances, especially with something else going on that night on the college campus at Rutgers, that this one's going to be peaceful. And that makes me nervous. And it makes a lot of people nervous. I'd like to know what I should be telling the rabbis when I leave this meeting tonight to discuss whether or not the community should be attending the Hanukkah candle lighting at 5:30 to 6:30.
The Hanukkah candlelight service is sponsored by Main Street Highland Park, a part of the Highland Park Borough, a sanctioned event. I just saw that notice maybe 30 minutes before I came into this meeting tonight. It's not organized by anyone on the Borough Council or the governing body of the borough, and it's not sponsored by any of the borough entities here in town. I was surprised to see that as well, that is right after the event that's sponsored by Main Street Highland Park, which we have been having very peaceful engagements and rallies and support. I was surprised to see that was put out there. I would say to you and our community, do not let anyone bully you into being afraid and not coming out and supporting borough sanctioned events. That we should use our voice, but we should use our voice peacefully, and we should not cower away from doing what we know is right and is supported by this governing body and by the government. We will have officers available at our event, and I am not expecting any kind of uprising. I can't guarantee anything, but I'm quite sure Chief Abrams and he will have officers available for our event. Our event starts at 5:30, ends at 6:30, and if officers will be there to make sure that to ensure that there will not be any interruptions. But we can't guarantee that there will not be interruptions.
Correct, which is what I have to tell the rabbis. They have to make the decision that if this is going to be the same overlap, you can tell me it's 2 hours later or another evening, which is what should have been done after this one was already sanctioned and publicized, what have you. They shouldn't even be there that night. But if they are going to be there, and it's going to be within the same hour, then we have to make a decision. We're talking about little children coming. We're not talking about adults who are able to defend themselves. And I didn't want to go where I'm thinking in my head right now, but I think this is something that really requires serious thinking. I don't know who sanctioned this. If not now,
it is not sanctioned by our town.
Why
Let me be very clear on that.
So why they?
I received the email just as you did. I received the email from one of my council colleagues that said he heard about this and he shared it with us. And so we are trying to be as proactive as possible and to protect the members of our town. We don't know this group. I'm trying to get more information. I asked the chief to look into it, and he's going to be looking more into this and see, what's behind it. And, our primary function and purpose is to keep our town safe, and that we can have events that benefit the members of our town who want to have a peaceful event, not to have disruptors come in and disrupt a peaceful event. To me, Chief, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, we just found out about this today. John,
Chief, could you step down here so the rest of the persons on Zoom and attending can hear?
So we found out about this event today. I directed my people to look into
Chief,
what the group-
microphone.
what the group is, who they are, what they stand for, just so we have an idea of what's going on. It's not sanctioned by the borough, but, you know, people are allowed to come out in public and stand for their beliefs, whether we agree with it or not. So we can't turn around and tell them, you can't do this. We could just be prepared for everybody to do what they need to do in public. So.
And to keep people safe.
Right, we're gonna be there, I'll have officers there, we'll make sure that everything is as safe as it can be. Like the mayor said, there's no guarantees in life. I can't guarantee if people won't disrupt your event, I can't guarantee people won't disrupt their event. It's our job as police to make sure that everybody stays safe regardless of what happens. So that's the plan.
I would just add that as soon as we found out about this event, we jumped into action to saying we need to figure out exactly what it is, we need to figure out exactly how it happened, we need to figure out exactly what our response and what the needs of the police officers might be at this particular thing. So for what it's worth, as soon as we discovered this, we took it very, very seriously and recognized that there is a potential for conflict. And what is our best options to make sure that we mitigate that conflict and stop that conflict. So it may be not a lot of solace, but I do want to assure you that this council, the mayor, the chief, everyone takes this potential conflict very, very seriously.
Just to me, it looks like it's a provocation. They knew this event was on the calendar. They could have done it 8 nights of Hanukkah. They could have done any one of the 7 other nights besides the one that the rest of the town is going to be at. They do have a record of their of what their feelings are, or what their thoughts are, what who they're blaming for October 7th, which wasn't the people that perpetrated the crime. And I'm just very nervous on behalf of the community. Again, I hear what you say. I appreciate what the chief said and what the mayor said and what you're saying, Matt. But I'm gonna have to report it back to the rabbinical leaders here in the community to see if this is something where they are going to, again, this is based on not what happened here. Nothing happened here, thank God so far, and hopefully never does. But based on what's going on in other places, not far from here, based on these rallies and what the end result is, it's a nerve-wracking thing, and I'm very nervous about it. These people should be told to move their night to another night. This way there's no overlap and there's no problems. Everybody can say what they want to say. If they're not willing to move it, then I understand that they have other ulterior motives, whatever they might be, which we won't find out, I guess, until it happens. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public?
Mayor, I'd like to
Councilman
add,
Holston?
that was all news to me. I'll just say
We
that.
just got it before we walked in. The email was sent to us literally, and I'm quite sure not everyone on the council knew that this was happening because we just got it half an hour before we sat down.
Yeah, I still plan on attending, just putting that out there. It's worth
I'm very much planning on attending myself.
That event is one of the best things that this town does, the menorah lighting, and thanks to Morty's for supplying each other donuts, and it really is truly.
And I'm looking forward to getting my guilt, so yes, I'm planning on attending.
It is absolutely a festive event, and I will say, I remember like 15 years ago, maybe it was one of the first menorah lightings I was at here in town when the menorah then was made of PVC pipe and we used road flares to actually light the thing. So this is festive. I would echo Councilman Hale, Councilman Pistonik, to not be scared to participate in public events. We just can't.
We can't give in to fear. We cannot have people bully us.
Just can't.
With that said, open additional public comment.
Fear
Please state your
wins.
name and address.
Hi there. My name is Jacob Moffett, 42 Lincoln Avenue, and I'm not affiliated with this group.
Could you lift up your mic a little bit so we can hear you clearer? Thanks.
Sure. I'm not affiliated by any means with this on now, but from what I do know is that they are a Jewish-led organization calling for a permanent ceasefire.
Yes, I am aware that they are a Jewish-led organization. I did a little bit of research on my phone. Thank you. Any other public comment? Sarah?
I see a hand raised.
Sure.
Ira Mintz, if you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, Ira Mintz, 143 North Fifth Avenue, Highland Park. I apologize because I just came on the meeting about 3 minutes ago, and I heard the end of somebody speaking who was raising a question about the if not now Hanukkah candlelighting, ceasefire candlelighting. And if the council has any questions, since I have some information about that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. But again, I apologize because I wasn't on the meeting, so I don't know what was said. But let me just say, it was scheduled after the Main Street event, which is posted and scheduled for 5:30 to 6:30. The if not now candlelighting is not scheduled to begin until 7, so there is no overlap, not meant to interfere with the Main Street event.
And do you have a permit for that event?
Why would we need a permit to have an event on public property?
Councilmember Hill?
Ms. Vince, you asked if there were questions from the council. I have a question. Would you mind, or would you be able to move that to a different day? Could you do it on the 8th? Could you do it on the 9th? Could you do it on any of the other days of Hanukkah? And I'm not making judgments about your organization. I'm not making judgments on either way. I do think that there is a very real potential for conflict, and one ways of negating that conflict would be if your organization, which scheduled the event after the Main Street event, would choose to use it to move it to a different day. So I have a question. If that's possible, if that's something that you have the ability to do, I'd like to ask you to do that.
I don't know the answer to your question as to whether or not it can be moved, but I'm very disturbed because I know that if not now, and has absolutely no intention of creating any conflict. So if you're worried about conflict, where would that be coming from? From other?
I guess my point is it doesn't matter where the conflict comes from. It matters, and I'm not making a judgment about where the conflict might come from. All I'm asking is that I think it's pretty obvious that there could be conflict either on one side or the other. And in the name of safety, in the name of the ability to have a safe event, I just think that it might be better. I'm not saying who the conflict would start with. All I'm saying is that if you moved it to a different day, I would think that the potential for conflict is decreased, and I think that's a good thing for our town.
I find it very concerning that you think that the people who would be opposed to what we are doing would be prone to conflict or to attacking us for calling for a ceasefire. That's what I'm inferring from what you're saying. But in terms of whether or not the date can be changed, the date was selected because it's the first night of Hanukkah, and if not now, is having these kind of Hanukkah ceasefire candle lightings all around the country on that date. That's why the date was selected. Whether or not it can be changed is something that I am not in a position to answer. I can certainly raise the question with the organization, but I'm not in a position on my own to change a date.
If you could raise that, I would appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Any other questions for me?
Any council members, any questions? No, we'd appreciate you looking into if it's possible to change the date so they're, stay away from any conflict and let people who are concerned and that their children are going to be out enjoying the event, that there will not be any incidents. And I think that's the concern that people have. They want to feel that when they bring their children out, they're bringing them into a safe environment, free of any potential conflict.
Well, let me make it perfectly clear. Nobody from the group that I'm
30 seconds.
Having this event with, nobody in our group has any intention of causing any problems for anyone. So if there's a concern on the side of the people who would be opposed to a ceasefire, that's a concern that the borough should take up with them and not necessarily try to stifle our free speech. But I do understand your request, and in good faith, I will communicate that. But I do think if nobody should be worried that we're going to interfere with any children or cause any problems, it's not us. But I will also say that the Main Street event is scheduled to end at 6:30. And we're not scheduled to gather until 7, so there shouldn't be any overlap.
I'm happy to hear that, but please do have a conversation if you can change it to another date. Avoid any possible conflict or anything. As my grandma used to say, the road to hell is built on good intentions, so it's best that we avoid any kind of possible conflict.
Well, yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
fine, but I will pass that on, but I do think that
I
you should be
appreciate that. Thank you
communicating
so
to the other
much.
group.
It's time. Anyone else?
I do see another hand raised. Just give me one moment. Abby Stern Cardinal, you're up next.
Hi, this is Abby Stern Cardinal. I live on Harper Street. I'm just reacting to everything that I've heard tonight about this Hanukkah event, multiple Hanukkah events. I'm really kind of upset by what I'm hearing from everybody and how instead of talking and having calm conversation about what everyone's intentions are, there's assumptions of, again, conflict on whatever side. There's assumptions by everybody being made here, and it's being made publicly. And I don't really think that this is the way that we should encourage our community to go to an event. It's an event I'm very excited about, and I go every year. I bring my kids. I hope if there's no overlap, then that's the case. But the intention for everybody, it sounds like, and I sure hope is the case, is to celebrate Hanukkah. And if there is, the Hanukkah event that I understand that's scheduled by the town is not a political event. It's not intended to make any kind of political statement. I hope that's not the case, because I believe that there will be a lot of people who have different political opinions who attend that event, both political opinions about Highland Park, New Jersey, Israel, everything. And I really hope, one, that the event itself doesn't become political, because that is something that I've never seen before. And it's really about the community coming together to celebrate Hanukkah and be joyous and eat some donuts and, let kids run around, as we said, and say the prayers for the first night of Hanukkah. I'm really concerned that now there's going to be this overcast from everybody about one group versus another group. I hope people can talk and determine that it sounds like, I'm glad to hear there's no overlap in the time. It's two separate Hanukkah events, and I just feel like the tension is really making me question whether I should go, and it's concerning to me that this is being done, and being addressed so publicly, and anyone who's paying attention is going to now think that there's going to be this big conflict, which I sure hope that there isn't. And I would like to take everyone at their word that that's not the intention, and that everybody can just be together and have a nice time. So, this is really going to cast a shadow on it for me. And I hope that we can all have a celebration like we do every year. Thank you.
Thanks, Abby. As I started by saying that we have been, and as Matt says, for the past 15 years, we've been having this event free of any political conflict, and that's the way we intend for the event to be tomorrow. That families and friends can come out, and children can come out and really enjoy the Hanukkah celebration. And that's what we're hoping for. We want it to be free of any kind of conflict, and people should not be afraid to come out into their town and for a town celebration and truly enjoy what is going to be offered tomorrow. So I hope you and your families and everyone listening at home do come out tomorrow and enjoy the wonderful Hanukkah celebration. Councilperson?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to add, it was Thursday, right?
Thursday, sorry.
And I did just want, I wanted to just repeat that. We have no anticipation of any conflict, of any violence, of any threat of danger. Obviously, the Highland Park Police Department informed us immediately, and they are very, very plugged into watching signs for violence, anti-Semitism, really tracking the things that happen in our community. There is no indication of that. So I would just say that the more that we kind of sow that fear, doubt, and uncertainty into what's going on, the more it repels people and it persuades people to stay at home. So I would just be really careful that, based on nothing, we have no evidence that there is going to be any disturbance or anything. Is it unfortunate timing? If I were making the event, Mr. Menz, I would not have done it at that time, at that place, but it's a public space and you do not need a permit. But it's just, we really have to be really careful, especially now, especially right now, we cannot go down that rabbit hole. Things are crazy in the world right now, absolutely, and it affects our community directly, completely directly. I mean, when families living in Highland Park who have families in Israel are fearful. They fear for their families. They fear for their families' lives. They fear for the future. They fear and they fear for losing a place called home for many people here. So we just have to be really sensitive to that. We cannot walk blindly into fear. Thank you, Mayor.
I just want to respond, to say very clearly, the community that will be going to the first party is going to celebrate a holiday that took place 2,000 years ago. We're come, like you said, for the past 15 years, we had a great time. We're now, nobody from our community, from the Jewish community that I know, or at least from the community that attends these events, has any intention of making this a political event. The only politics we're talking about is whether we like our donuts stuffed with jelly, or we like our donuts with chocolate. But the second event is called a ceasefire event. I don't believe they're talking about a ceasefire at the time of the Maccabees, 2,000 years ago, because if they had a ceasefire, they wouldn't have found the oil, they wouldn't have had the 8 days of Hanukkah, they wouldn't have defeated the enemy 2,000 years ago. But it's for now, and that's what bothers me to a certain extent. Why are you politicizing a holiday? You're going to politicize Rosh Hashanah next, and Yom Kippur next, and Passover next. We're going to say, oh, the Jews should have left Egypt. Come on, I mean, let's be real. This is a religious holiday. It should be celebrated as a religious holiday. And if somebody else wants to do something political about the religious holiday, don't do it 30 minutes after the first party. You don't think people are going to come early, late? We don't know. Maybe nothing will happen. But we've seen what's going on in these rallies over the last 7 to 10 weeks. Stuff has happened. And it puts a little bit of doubt into and fear into us. It shouldn't happen at this event with children and kids. So make your day a different day. Make your ceasefire Hanukkah party, like Councilman Hale said, like the mayor asked, there's 7 other days. You don't have to do it this day. We don't want to go there with fear in our hearts. We want to go there to enjoy an event. That's what the community wants. So if anything, they should just say, okay, we hear you, we understand you, and we'll try to move it to another day. I mean, if it was just announced a half hour or an hour ago, there's plenty of time to reschedule it before Thursday. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
We did just find out about it.
No, sir. Terry?
I don't have any hands up on.
All right, that was enough said. Hope everyone will show up on Thursday and have their donuts and everything else. It'll be a calm, peaceful event. And with that, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn our meeting.
So move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Our next meeting will be December 19th at 7 p.m. See you all then. Thanks. Good night.